What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and there used to be a time before the dark times of Star Wars, before Disney, that when we had the Star Wars expanded universe, and that's all of these things sitting behind me, all the books, all the comics that used to expand upon what was in the movies, as opposed to, well, now it's probably better known as the EU, the explained universe, as I've seen a couple people put it, because all they do is they're forced to explain what we actually see happen in the movies, because the movies are such a wreck right now and they need this extra explanation behind everything. I'm going to talk about two of those things today that you may have already seen already, but this cover for Star Wars 6, which doesn't come out for a couple months, people were saying, wow, that's interesting. Why does Luke Skywalker have a yellow lightsaber on the cover? Well, I think we all know, because Rey has a yellow lightsaber. So they're going to use that to maybe explain how she got a yellow crystal, maybe to just show the difference. Oh, wow, he has a yellow lightsaber too. Rey has a yellow lightsaber too. Look, she is a Skywalker. I don't know. It's all speculation at this point, but we're going to speculate because, let's be honest, why would Disney do this? Why would they give him a yellow lightsaber? Now, I think I may know where it comes from. This article does break it down, but we'll see. And then, of course, we also have Star Wars Holocron on Twitter trying to give people some extra information about the rise of Skywalker. And if you weren't looking at the leaks and if you didn't scour through the visual dictionary, you would have had no idea this was the case, because this movie explains nothing. But we'll get to that second. First, let's talk about this. Now, this is a comic book that's set to come out in a while. This is just the cover art for it, with Luke Skywalker holding a yellow-bladed lightsaber. Marvel Comics' new Star Wars comic picks up after the events of Empire Strikes Back and shows just what happened to Luke Skywalker's blue lightsaber after it was lost. Now, in that issue 1, we did see after it fell, a shadowy figure reached out and grabbed it as it was falling. Maybe this is the story for another day that Maz Kanata was talking about, a throwaway line in J.J. Abrams' House of Cards that was Force Awakens and eventually collapsed this entire sequel trilogy. And while we know Luke eventually builds a new green lightsaber to replace it sometime in the lead up to Return of the Jedi, apparently he also obtains a replacement during the interim in the form of a never-before-seen lightsaber with a yellow blade. This new saber can be seen on the cover of Star Wars number 6 by writer Charles Soule and artist Jesus Saez. The cover is drawn by R.B. Silva. And here's the cover. Art is fine. Yeah, listen, for a cover, it kind of draws your attention. You're like, why is Luke Skywalker holding a yellow lightsaber? Yellow-bladed lightsabers are a rarity in Star Wars lore, but the reveal of Rey's new yellow lightsaber at the end of Rise of Skywalker has sparked an interest in their history. Aside from her, the only other canon users were the Jedi Temple guards on Coruscant, who wielded double-ended lightsaber pikes with yellow blades. Now, that's not actually true, but obviously we can't imagine that any article would actually do its research on it, because Tozan was a character introduced, I think, in maybe a video game that ended up coming into an Obi-Wan Kenobi comic. She had a yellow-bladed lightsaber, and then also Asajj Ventress, after it was supposed to be, I think, probably for Clone Wars Season 8, maybe even the original plans for 7, but anyway, Asajj Ventress, after she kind of left Count Dooku and was by herself, she actually purchased a yellow-bladed lightsaber on the black market somehow. That is talked about in the novel with her and Quinlan Vos. And there's some concept art out there if you want to find it. But I will do the research for you about Disney canon, since this article evidently can't do it, because that's canon as well. Canon. If you look closely at the hilt of Luke's saber, it seems identical to those used by the Jedi Temple guards, except for the coloring. So it's possible that Luke somehow recovers one of the weapons to use as his own. And you can see there, let me actually blow this up for you guys. It does seem, I actually think that this is likely how they're going to do it, to be quite honest with you. It makes sense to me that they could do some justification. Luke visits the Jedi Temple somehow on Coruscant. I don't know how he got onto Coruscant at this time, but definitely could happen. I feel like that's too similar to be a coincidence. Looks like the top half of maybe one of the guards' pikes. That's my guess. But I don't know. Who knows? Are they actually going to stay within continuity? Or did they steal this design for some reason? I don't know, but it certainly seems like that could be the case. The reveal of Rey's yellow lightsaber And now Luke's may imply a link. Of course it does. It could be that the yellow kyber crystal in Luke's saber somehow falls into Rey's possession. That's how she's able to build her saber using an uncommon kyber crystal color. Star Wars is no stranger to such coincidences, because that's literally the entire plot of the sequel trilogy. Like Rey stumbling across Luke's saber in the basement of Maz Kanata's castle, since the Force does work in mysterious ways. It's also worth remembering that several Luke action figures from Kenner's line included a retractable yellow lightsaber blade. That is true. The color choice could be an homage to those figures. Now, were those intentional or those mistakes? That's always a good thing to guess. But yeah, there were a couple. Now, writer Charles Soule said on Twitter, and this article has it in here as well. I've already got it pulled up. But he does say that, well, this is the reason. Now, why? Here he goes. While some might have enjoyed learning that this is in the issue, hey, Christmas has come early this year. Why will Luke Skywalker have a yellow lightsaber in the Star Wars run I'm writing set between Empire and Jedi? Well, many reasons, but here's a big one. And this is Luke Skywalker with it looks like a freaking candle, to be quite honest. But there you go. Now, it's also, you should note that these Counterline, a lot of these came out before Luke Skywalker's lost his blue lightsaber, before Luke Skywalker made a green lightsaber. This is obviously in the big hype that happened during A New Hope. This looks like a candle, to be quite honest. Look at this thing. It looks like a candle. It looks like a wax candle in his hand. But anyway, that's what's going on there. Listen, there's no doubt in my mind that the reason he has a yellow lightsaber, and they talk a little bit about different lightsabers here and stuff like that, and about how in Star Wars 1 we saw that shadowy figure that took Luke's blue lightsaber. Let's be honest. The reason he has that is because Rey has one at the end of Rise of Skywalker. You know they're going to make some connection. You know they're going to try to explain this away somehow. The entire way that kyber crystals work, Luke would have to find this lightsaber, because the ones that attune to him should be green, because he goes and makes one not too much later. So for him to make one, to imprint upon a kyber crystal and to be yellow, and then just a little bit later for it to be green, I think would be very strange. Now, you look at Ahsoka, who has a different colored lightsaber. She also has the white sabers. Her story of how she got that saber in Disney canon, you can kind of explain that away. And understand why it's different colors. This one, not so much. This doesn't make any sense. But I guess we'll see if they can explain universe this as well. Now, on to what a lot of people were talking about yesterday, and that is this. Did you know the Sith Eternal Fleet in Star Wars Rise of Skywalker was created by Sith cultists on Exegol, who indoctrinated Exegol's population with Sith values and raised and trained their children to become officers, mechanics, and soldiers of the First Order? And again, so many people were very surprised by this, and rightly so, because unless you were really up to date on the leaks and heard all the inside information about this, or you looked at the leaked images and the leaked art and the leaked pages of the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker visual dictionary, you would have no idea about any of this. You might not know that there were 10,000 of these Star Destroyers there. You might not know that means there were 300 million people that needed to crew this. 300 million Sith cultists that somehow managed to survive this whole time hidden on Exegol, that somehow managed to do some weird revival for Emperor Palpatine. There's so much that we just don't know because the story was just thrown together. And even Chris Terrio and J.J. Abrams said, we were going to talk about, how and why we brought Palpatine back, but we just didn't think it was relevant. Absolute bullcrap. And so many people, including Elijah Wood, look, no, how could we have known? This is absolutely getting roasted because there's no way that anyone could have known this. There's no way anyone could have guessed at this because no one even understands what Exegol is. No one understands this movie because it was cobbled together and it's a J.J. Abrams jam. That's why. So it's funny to see so many people calling them out today. But with this yellow lightsaber, again, it's no longer the expanded universe. They decanonized that, made it Legends because it was too messy. Now we have the Star Wars explained universe because That's all that they can do. They're explaining these holes in their canon. Let me know your thoughts about the yellow lightsaber, about Star Wars Holocron getting wrecked on Twitter by Elijah Wood and so many others. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video out there, ring the bell for notifications, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.